Hi, Lori, Maker High, and today we're going to talk about tips and tricks for hand sewing. First, we're going to talk about choosing the needles. Now, I tend to go with Dritz. They are my preferred brand. They're very solid, they're very sturdy, and they are really sharp, and that's what you want to look for in a needle. I think that you should be able to choose any brand that you want to, but I'm going to warn you away from two. First and foremost, I am not a fan of Singer needles, and especially the ones that they sell at the dollar stores. They tend to break and they aren't very sharp. And then the ones that are the Hobby Lobby brand, like, just don't even go there. Don't even think about it, because they tend to sliver. And I've gotten metal slivers in my finger before, and it hurts, and it's happened to me more than once. You think I would learn after the last time, but yeah, just don't do it. Now, when you actually go to pick out your needles, I tend to go for the size 7 sharps. These are a very good all-purpose needle, especially since they come in packs of 20. If you don't do a lot of hand sewing, it's good to have these around, you know, just in case. Ballpoint needles are really for specialty fabrics like jersey and that kind of thing. Faux fur, I usually use ballpoint needles, but for general everyday use, sharps are probably the way to go. So the next piece of advice is safety, and don't run away yet. I know I talk about safety a lot. I'm very safety conscious, but this is important if you're going to be hand sewing, and that is to make sure you always use a sharp needle. And the reason for that is if you have a dull needle and you're pushing it through your fabric, you have to push harder, and you have a better chance of stabbing yourself with it, and it hurts and you will bleed, and I don't want that for you. So a really good rule of thumb is to start with a new needle every project, and that way you know that it's as sharp as it can be. One of the things that I have both in my sewing kit and my maker kit is a hunk of beeswax. I also carry a hunk of soap, and you can use that instead of the beeswax if you want to try to cut down on costs, and I'll explain why I have both of them in another video here shortly. But basically what you're going to want to do is take your needle, the very edge of it, and run it through your beeswax. It'll help lubricate it and help it get through the fibers, and then you want to run your thread through it as well, because it'll help strengthen it and again help it glide through the fibers a lot easier, and it'll also keep it from tangling up toward the bottom. If you are accident prone, I recommend buying a thimble. You can usually find them for about $2 at the fabric store, and you're going to leave it on your middle finger, and that way when you are running your needle through the fabric, that's what it's going to run into, and it's going to protect your finger from getting stuck. So the next piece of advice I'm going to give is to practice on scrap fabric. After you've already cut out whatever your pattern is, take some scraps, and whatever stitch you're going to use, if it's your first or second time doing it, just practice a little bit before you start on your actual project, because it's easier to mess up something like that than it is to get started on something and get frustrated with it. Tiny section, this little tiny thing. Container. That is the word I was looking for. So another really important piece of advice is to not buy cheap thread, because it will break and you will get frustrated, and nobody wants that. I really like Gutermann thread, and you can get about 110 yards. It's about $2.50 retail, and you can usually find it for half off or buy one get one free or something like that. But really, you're generally going to wind up paying between $1.50 and $2 for this, if you can find it on sale or if you have a coupon or what have you. But buying this versus buying the giant spool of dollar thread, you're going to see a real difference. And the thing is, if you're hand sewing, you're probably not going to go through this much on your first project. So save yourself the time and the frustration, and just don't get cheap thread. So those are basically the pieces of advice that I have if you've just started hand sewing, and it's a really good just sort of like primer before you get in there, before you get going. I've got a couple of other videos about how to tie a knot and how to thread a needle and that kind of thing, but really have fun with it. Don't be overwhelmed by it. And if you have any questions, ask them in the comments below. If there's a lot of interest in hand sewing, I might do another series of like more advanced moves for hand sewing. But otherwise, in the meantime, subscribe, and we will be doing a series of videos next week that have been led into by the series that we're doing this week. So make sure you tune in then. Okay, it's Lori from Maker High, and I'll see you next time.